Oftentimes we hear stories of wives having problems with their mother-in-law butting in and being disrespectful. We men will occasionally blame our mother-in-law for some habit that we may dislike in our wife's behavior or practices. Others, like myself, especially enjoy picking on our mother-in-law. But all joking aside, we read of a mother-in-law in the scriptures that I believe can teach us some great lessons. She was the mother-in-law of Peter. We read in Luke chapter 4, verses 38 and 39, "And he arose out of the synagogue and entered into Simon's house. And Simon's wife's mother was taken with a great fever, and they besought him for her. And he stood over her and rebuked the fever, and it left her. And immediately she arose and ministered unto them." Each of the synoptic Gospels, that being Matthew, Mark, and Luke, records the occasion of Jesus healing Peter's mother-in-law. Now, a quick glance may leave one with the impression that the record is simply another example of God's approval of Jesus by miracles, wonders, and signs, as Acts 2 and verse 22 reveals their purpose was. However, a closer and more diligent observation of the text provides some spiritual lessons that serve to strengthen our faith. First, I want you to consider the sickness. Matthew and Mark note simply that the woman was sick of a fever. Identifying her fever as great, Luke the physician reveals a more severe nature to her illness. According to Hobart, in the medical language of Luke, the ancient Greeks divided fevers into great and small, and the wording of Luke indicates the fever was continuous, severe, and possibly even a recurring chronic condition. The language of the physician also denotes a sense of urgency. Her life hung in the balance, and Luke's use of the word besought carries the sense of entreating or even begging for help, further emphasizing the severity of the situation. Now today, a fever is a common illness, but the severity of her fever needed to be addressed without hesitation. And in those days, with the limited medical advancements that were there, this fever was one that was very serious to her health. A spiritual lesson to be drawn here is the parallel of physical sickness to sin. Just as sickness is common to the human population, even so sin is common to all humanity. Romans 3 and verse 23, for example, says, "For all have sinned and come short of the glory of God." Additionally, how one becomes sick provides a parallel for us to consider. Now, causes of sickness vary from low immunity, associations with others who are contagious, and a failure to take care of one's health properly. And each one of these have a spiritual parallel as well. Temptation often comes when we're at weak points in our lives, when our spiritual immunity is low. Satan's temptations of Jesus provide an excellent example of this in Luke 4 verses 1 and 2. And closely associating with those who live in sin is most certainly a means by which many have fallen from steadfast faithfulness. David instructed, "Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful." On no less than 2 occasions, Paul emphasized to the Corinthians how associations may corrupt. "Know ye that a little leaven leaveneth the whole lump," 1 Corinthians 5 and verse 6. "And evil companionships corrupt good morals," 1 Corinthians 15 and verse 33. Friends, we want to thank you for joining us for our program today, and we encourage you to join us again tomorrow as we continue looking at the lessons that we can learn from Peter's mother-in-law. May God bless you today with a wonderful day.